Hey guys, it's Danny. Yes, we changed the location of the filming table. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think it's better than the previous one we had. I don't have backlight anymore, so I think that's gonna be a lot better. Anyway, today I'm gonna show you what I believe to be the wonkiest orchid flower I have ever seen, and probably you have ever seen as well. And it's this one over here. What is even happening here? What's this orchid even supposed to be? Well, some of you might guess it's a Vandaecous orchid, but it's not supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to bloom like this. Let's dig in and see what the heck went wrong here. So, first and foremost, it is the first blooming of this orchid. First time bloomings can be a little bit bad. How bad? Well, I never thought it would be this bad, but they can be a little bit wonky. It's not unheard of. But usually what you get is a flower spike with maybe not so many flowers. Maybe the flowers have mild distortions here and there. Sometimes not all the flowers have issues. Sometimes you will not get full color. But typically, it's just not the full potential of the flower spike. Mutations and glitches, while not uncommon, they're not really expected. This is not, no, this doesn't happen. Okay, so this is supposed to be a Vanda Dillon crossed with Renanthera vietnamensis. I don't know if it's registered just yet, but the parents of this orchid definitely do not look like this. I can see traits of both of them. So the Vanda Dillon is actually a pretty typical looking Vanda. If you know the Pachara, well, it's similar to that, at least in shape. The coloration is a little bit different, but it should be a darker indigo type of an orchid. It has one of those bigger flowers, the round flowers, very typical Vanda orchid, let's say. While the Renanthera vietnamensis, I actually had him bloom just a couple of months ago. I have footage of it. It's a wonderful reddish type of a Renanthera. The shape of it is very distinct, and I can see some traces of that shape in this flower. But definitely what stands out with the Renanthera is that beautiful intense color. And if you paid attention to the pictures or the footage that I showed you on the screen, you might have noticed something that almost all orchids have, and that is a flower spike. We don't have a flower spike. Where is the flower spike? Now, it's somewhere. I think it's a very, 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 very tiny flower spike here, or because the flower is positioned so high on the plant, I think that maybe the flower spike emerged somewhere lower and then it traveled in the sheaths of the leaf upward, and then it kind of just managed to produce this one singular flower or bud at the top, and yeah, this happened. Oh, right, so the footage you just saw was filmed a few weeks ago before vacation, and this is today. So my whole theory about the flower spike being somewhere in the plant, out the window, because look at that, we have a brand new flower emerging in the very same way on the other side. So having a flower spike be trapped in between the leaves twice, that really doesn't happen. And I looked and poked around. I don't see any evidence that the flower spike is trapped between the leaves and it's traveling through the stem or anything of the sorts. I do believe it's just how this orchid will bloom, which makes my next theory, which you will hear now about hybridization, a little bit more plausible. So yeah, just wanted to give you a little update on this orchid. Look at that. Another flower blooming in the very same way. Very peculiar. Just as a side note, what I do believe I will do with this plant is save a little keiki, because you know what? It takes up a lot of space. I didn't shape it correctly. I'm gonna take a keiki, I'm gonna grow it again and see how that one blooms. I think that keiki, because it doesn't have dehydration signs, it's still straight. So I'm gonna grow that one and see if it blooms like this again, because if it does, it is indeed genetic. I did look up on the internet to see if anybody has this hybrid in bloom and how it looks like, and I think I found something on Reddit, and look at that. Yeah, it has a flower spike. It looks nothing like mine, so maybe that's how this hybrid was supposed to look like, and I just got a bit of a faulty one. So first and foremost, we do not have a flower spike. We should have had a flower spike. Second, The flower spike is not supposed to emerge from all the way to the top. And also, Vanda orchids are not known to create terminal spikes like Phalaenopsis orchids. Did you ever see a Vanda with a terminal spike? I haven't. I feel like I didn't. Let me know if you did. So it's not supposed to be this high. And third, of course, the look of it. It does not look like it should. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the Renanthera vietnamensis, a little. But gosh, you guys, this is a mess, isn't it? So yeah, this is what can sometimes happen, especially with hybrids, which is the key word of this video, hybrids. Some hybrids are just not meant to be, but more than that, some individuals are just not meant to be, as weird as that sounds. See, in nature, there is such a thing as natural selection. If an individual is not adequate for surviving on its own in the wild, then it's going to die off. In our living room, there is no natural selection. There can be some selection when we propagate these orchids, especially through meristem cloning. We call it sometimes mericloning. Yes, we can select exactly the traits we want from an individual by cloning it from another plant. But see, when we have seedlings, and I do suppose this is a seedling since it's not registered, there are two orchids crossed here, and I think this is, let's call it generation 1 of the seedlings. They have been put up for sale, and this is just what I speculate. I don't know for a fact, it's what I'm imagining, what I think happened. So in my opinion, I think all of these seedlings were put on the market before anybody actually waited to see what results from this cross. And I do believe the seedlings that were on the market, they will all look a little bit different between them. And I also do suspect, and I fear, that some of these seedlings will come out with some mutations like this, undesirable traits, and furthermore, traits that are not in the best interest of the individual. Because one thing that can result from hybridization is a weaker individual. I know we always talk about hybrid vigor, but those are selected hybrids. They are selectively bred for certain features, including being vigorous. But when you put on the market something that has not been tested, I guess, let's say, you don't know what's gonna end up. You don't know who will get what type of a seedling and if they're gonna have issues or not. So this is what I suspect is happening. Given it is the first blooming, so maybe the second blooming will look a little bit better, I hope. But honestly, I think we're dealing with a little bit of a faulty individual. And it is one of the results of hybridization, sadly. I'm sure this happens. I'm sure hybridizers routinely discard individuals that just do not fit their criteria and only keep the ones that do. This is selective breeding. This one, I don't know. So it's a little bit sad. I mean, the flower looks like it has potential, right? But if it's going to start coming out of the top and being like terminal, that will pose a threat to the actual orchid. We're gonna have busted crowns all of the times, and we're gonna have to clone the orchid through its keikis. I don't know. Vigorousness, I can tell you it's not a vigorous hybrid. I have a lot of Renantheras that are doing great. They're doing so good for me. I have Vandas that can do great if I give them better light, but this hybrid, he's a little wonky. I don't know what's gonna happen, but yeah. This is what I wanted to show you today, and this is one of the risks you should be aware of when you are purchasing seedlings. And we had a video recently about some Cattleya seedlings. I'll link you to it down below. They are very affordable, much cheaper than the mature individuals, but there are some risks associated because not all of them are vetted, as it were. The hybridizers don't know what's gonna end up resulting. You can end up with a color you don't really like in the best case scenario, and in the worst case scenario you can end up with a mutation so bad that it actually poses a threat to the development of the orchid. I hope it's not the case. It doesn't happen all that often, so don't panic, don't be afraid of seedlings now. It doesn't really happen often. This is the first time it happens to me in 10 years. So it's not that often, but sometimes it happens, and I just wanted to show you this guy and talk a little bit about this instance, which can result after hybridization, and something you should know when you purchase seedlings, especially those that do not have a registered name, just a cross that has been put on the market and it has not been vetted. Right, so with that said, thank you so much for watching Short and Sweet today. Hope you'll have a great end of the summer. Yes, summer is ending, yes. Not for me. Summer is gonna end in November. But anyway, it's gonna end for some of you, I guess. And I'm sure some of you are not sad to see summer go, especially if it was very hot lately in your location. It has been hot here for me, and I don't like heat. I have very low blood pressure. It's not good for me, the heat. I have struggled a little this year, but I'm okay now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a chilly end of the summer, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.